Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. That's weird. So we're here in Fort Worth, Texas. We're supposed to pick up a load at 1 o'clock. Now they're telling us 3 to 3:30. Normally that isn't a big deal, but this is like a super time sensitive load that we got to get up to the tri-state area, specifically I think the Newark hub for FedEx. But anyway, we'll just get it on the road as soon as we can. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things. We went to Whataburger just a little bit ago, and that was pretty good. So here's what Paul had to say about it.
So Paul, how was your Whataburger?
My Whataburger was great.
Was that the first time you've been there?
This is the first time I remember being there. I think I was there in the old A-frame buildings back in the day.
Yeah, we got some good milkshakes too.
Yeah, still drinking mine. You slammed yours, put a hurting on it.
Yeah, I got me a chocolate mint. That was delicious.
Strawberry's pretty good.
Okay, so the thing I wanted to talk about today was like disrespect, and you know, it comes in a lot of different forms, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. But one of the things that really chapped my ass was hearing that the people that were working at that candle factory in Mayfield, Kentucky, were told if they left, they might get fired, even though there was a tornado coming. And you know, we all know what happened in Mayfield. The whole freaking town got wiped out, including that factory, and people got killed. And you know, if you work for a company that doesn't care about whether you live or die through your shift, you should just find a new job or quit. I mean, I'd rather be living on a tent beside the freeway than work for a company that didn't care if I lived or died, and wasn't even going to let me protect myself. So that's one example of it, of disrespect. You know, we had a head football coach in the NFL fired the other day for disrespect, and I really think that's what it was. He didn't respect his team. He didn't respect the players, the organization, and it was all about him. And so he's out of a job. I mean, he's a millionaire. Maybe he doesn't care. Another example of disrespect that kind of bugged me was, we recently had somebody that is pretty vocal on YouTube, and he's out there in the public eye, and he had secured a seat on the driver advisory board at Prime. And then they had just installed a new driver advisory board, and then he announced he was leaving the company. Now, I don't have any problem with the person leaving the company. I've left companies before. You know, you move on, you do something different. That's good. That's fine. And I don't even have a problem with, you know, if the situation were that he had asked to be on the driver advisory board or was recommended by his fleet manager or whatever, and at the time he didn't know he was going to leave the company. But at the point he knew he was going to leave the company, which seemed like it happened like within a few days after the new driver advisory board was kind of like put in place, you know, that takes a little bit of planning. And I really wish that person would have had enough respect for their fellow drivers to say, hey, I need to step back from this because I don't know if I'm going to be here. And let's get somebody in there that knows they're going to be here for the next year or whatever the term is. You know, and hopefully that person will be replaced, so that not for no other reason than just to have full representation for drivers on the driver advisory board. It doesn't do any good that the company's willing to have that if we can't get a full complement of drivers on it. And by the way, I you know, I don't know who should be on it. I don't think, actually, I'm very sure I don't meet any of the requirements to be on it, but you know, I just think it's it's disrespectful to the company and to your fellow drivers to not, you know, roger up and say, hey, I'm not even going to be here. You know, one of the things that bugs me about trucking is, you know, that too many people don't understand, and this is the labor market in general, but too many people don't understand that it's not, that jobs are not just about pay. It is a lot of times about pay, but it's about other things. And for example, you know, what's going on with me and my co-driver right now is a perfect example of that. This shipper knows that they weren't, you know, we had a 1300 appointment. We got here an hour early, and they knew at 12 that it was not, we weren't going to get this load until like 1500 or later. And for them to not reach out to Prime and say, hey, you know, we're going to have to push this back. I mean, you know, Paul's on his clock now. His 14-hour clock is ticking down, and there's really not a lot we can do about it. So we're just stuck here. But it wouldn't surprise me that we're going to have the exact same deadline to deliver this up in the New York City area, and yet we're going to get out of here maybe 3 hours late if we're lucky. You know, and it's those types of things that really, you know, irk drivers and make drivers not want to be in the trucking industry. We have to pick up the slack for a lot of people who can't get things done in a timely manner and can't be forthright about it, that don't respect our time, don't respect the position we're in, don't respect that we need to, like, we're like the glue holding everything together sometimes. And you know, there was an article recently about the fact that a lot of people didn't leave the job market because they were getting, you know, unemployment benefits or, you know, COVID relief or tax credits. They just left because they felt unvalued. You know, there was an economist, his name is Aaron Sojourner, and he's on the faculty at the University of Minnesota School of Business, and he said, you know, the labor market's not about, you know, availability. There is no shortage of labor, like a lot of employers, a lot of business owners want to say. It's not about people, you know, unwilling to work or anything like that. It's just about the law of supply and demand. He said, I might want a 65-inch TV for $50. Well, I'm not going to be able to get that, but that doesn't mean there's a TV shortage. So there are people that are willing to do jobs. They're just sick and tired of feeling disrespected. And you know, what's going on now is there are a bunch of rich people who aren't getting as rich as they'd like because they no longer have access to cheap labor. It is a, you know, it's a seller's market. You have a skill or you have time that you're selling, and so it's a seller's market. It's the same thing with trucking companies. There's not a shortage of truckers. There's a shortage of truckers willing to do what needs to be done for the prices and the respect that, you know, for the wages and respect that are being paid. And you know, again, it's not, this shouldn't be a surprise. You know, there are more and more places where people are trying to unionize. People are realizing that, you know, having a job means more than just a paycheck. Sometimes it's for benefits. Sometimes it's for time off. You know, I certainly have worked a job where I made a lot of money, but my quality of life wasn't good. I wasn't happy. And this is a job where one year I got a $50,000 Christmas bonus. And by the way, Prime paid Christmas bonuses yesterday in everybody's checks. I got one. It wasn't a lot of money, but I really do appreciate that Prime did that. I didn't know it was coming. I don't know if other people did. My bonus was $70. Now, is $70 the same as getting a $50,000 bonus? Not exactly, but I appreciate the fact that they did that, and you know, that's a gesture that shows, to me, shows respect and shows that they want to acknowledge people. So if you're out there and you're in a job where you don't feel you get the respect you deserve, you know, maybe it's time to look at it differently, and do something you like doing, and you know, then it's a little bit of a different calculus. But if you have an employer that doesn't want to you know, pay you, that's their way of saying we don't respect your efforts, we don't respect what you do. And there's a lot of places where that's really coming to a head. Teachers, you know, just a lot of professions that people really need. And I hope that this change that's going on is going to last. I think a lot of people of my father's generation took a lot of pride in what they did. They worked hard, but they were treated fairly. They had unions. They had employers that didn't try to take advantage of them at every turn. And I think you saw it in the differentials between you know, the wages of the lowest paid worker and the highest paid person at a company. Well, that gap has increased over the years, and to the point where workers have finally said, hey, you know, we've had enough. So if you don't feel like you're being treated with respect, you know, you need to do something about it. And one more thing about respect, and this is about respecting your customers and respecting people that actually make your business go. So we're down here in Texas, like I said, and you're familiar with Buc-ees, and I want to show you a quick clip and tell you what happened when we tried to go to Buc-ees today.
Okay, so here's the Buc-ees in up here on 114 in Fort Worth, and I want to zoom in on the sign over here. And you see that sign? It's basically like no trucks. So we tried to park over there, just, you know, bobtail, and man, like the Buc-ees SWAT team came out on us. We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, so they don't want trucks and Buc-ees. So when we went in there, you know, we just parked. We're bobtail, right? We didn't even make it to the front door, and this guy named Cameron, who was dressed like a traffic cone, intercepted us, and he had a little microphone, and he said, "You guys can't park an 18-wheeler here." And I'm like, "Where's there an 18-wheeler?" He goes, "Right there." I'm like, "No, that truck has 6 wheels." He's like, "Well, there's no trucks allowed." But, you know, there were a bunch of other vehicles that had a much bigger footprint. Like, there was a truck next to us that was not bigger than ours, but it was almost the same length. It was a Ford F-7500 pickup truck or whatever. It was extended cab, 8-foot bed. There were people in there with like 35-foot horse trailers, RVs, all sorts of stuff. There were even hot shotters in there with their trucks and, you know, a trailer with 3 cars on it. And so Cameron called for backup, and a manager came out. And by the way, the manager was really nice. He was very sympathetic. He was, you know, he said he had truckers in his family. He recognized that we were bobtail. He said, but if he didn't basically, you know, demand that we leave, that he would get in trouble. And, you know, so I just wished him a Merry Christmas, and we parted on amicable terms. But he told me that the guys that own the company don't want truckers around, because it's not about the footprint. It can't be, because we were way out of the way. It's about truckers, and he doesn't want these guys that own the company. So there's one guy, and I'll show you a picture of him in a minute. His name is Arch and Beaver Alpin, and he and another guy named Don Wasick, Waste Product. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but apparently they're the ones that don't want any truckers, you know, at their facilities. So I guess they just must get stuff delivered by I don't know, like Chevy Chevettes or you know, I don't know, Mazda CX-5s or something. They must never get trucks on the property, even though there was actually, if you noticed in the video, there was like a tank trailer sitting out there. But here's a picture of the Beeve. Take a look. So yeah, so that greasy guy is the guy that decided that truckers are persona non grata at Buc-ees. And you know, I'm embarrassed to admit I've ever bought anything from that guy, but I have. I wouldn't now. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't even loan him my lawnmower. But you know, it's just kind of interesting how you know, how people just decide to be disrespectful to one group or another. And look, I know truckers are kind of make a mess sometimes. You know, I pick up my trash, and even still, we're bobtail. You know, it's like I just wanted to go in and get some brisket or whatever and show Paul the store. I mean, but we're not good enough to park in the Buc-ees parking lot. So, you know, I hope everybody will just take that, and I have heard other truckers say they you know, wouldn't go to Buc-ees, but I'm not going to Buc-ees even if I'm in a car, even if I need gas. I'll just find some other place to go. They obviously don't want my business. But anyway, just to kind of wrap things up, I mean, I think people that are, you know, deserve respect need to demand it. And by the way, I'm not one of those guys that, you know, takes every slight as some huge issue that I gotta like whip out a gun about or something, you know, because I'm feeling disrespected. But at the same time, you know, I want to empower people. You know, if you're in a job where your boss doesn't give a crap about you, where when you're sick they still expect you to come in and work, or when you you know, a place where you have a family emergency or some other thing, and they don't give a crap about you. I mean, let me give you an example. I had a gal who used to work for me, and one time her dog was really sick, and she didn't have any children, she wasn't married, but the dog, rightly so, by the way, because I love my dog, you know, that was her family, part of her family. And you know, I was just like, hey, look, you take as much time as you need. I'm not gonna not pay you. You know, I said, you stay home with him. He's sick. He needs to go back and forth to the vet. You know, if you don't care enough about your employees to do something like that, if all you care about is how much money you're going to make, you know, you're just a bad human being. And you know, folks, if you work for somebody like that, you know who they are. You know, just go somewhere else. Just quit. Don't give them any notice. Get your crap and leave. You know, and if their business goes under because they can't find enough cheap labor that's willing to be disrespected, then I'm here for that. I'm all about their business folding. There are no guarantees in life, and they're not guaranteed to have an unlimited supply of cheap labor that they can treat like crap. So if you're in that situation, if you're getting treated like crap, just move on. Just move on, and don't ever look back. You know, and don't give them any chance to, you know, fire you or anything. Just leave. So anyway, thanks for listening to my rant, and I hope there's somebody out there that like listens to this and goes and works their final shift and leaves, and moves on to something better. You know, there's a saying that when one door closes, another door opens. But sometimes what we don't realize is that we're the ones that need to close the door, and we're the ones that need to open the other door. We can't just let it happen. So anyway, take care of yourselves. Some more heavy weather coming across the country. Let's be safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.